Hi Titans, happy Thursday and welcome back to our webinar series. My name is Jennifer Wheeler, Project Manager in the Dean of Students Office, and today we're going to be talking about exploring different majors. Now, I'm joined today by some wonderful partners from the Academic Advising Center, and they actually have a program called the Titan Major Exploration Program. So if you're an undeclared student, you're probably aware of this program. They do a lot of outreach to you. If not, welcome, come learn about it. But specifically, if you're a student who maybe you declared a major and now you're thinking, is this really the major for me? What else is out there? You're considering changing, trying to explore, definitely take advantage of this program. Just personal experience, when I was an undergraduate student, I changed my major 5 times. And let me tell you, that wasted a lot of time and money. So don't be like me. Use the resources that are available to you. I wish my school had a program like this. So if you're a Titan, definitely take advantage. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to our 2 guests so that they can introduce themselves and tell us all about the Academic Advising Center and this major exploration program.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Victoria Barrera Hamdi, and I'm the Major Exploration Coordinator with the Academic Advisement Center. So my role is to help you when you are interested in declaring a major, or as Jennifer mentioned earlier, maybe you have a major, but it might not be the right fit for you. So I do offer appointments where you can meet with me one-to-one. Right now, all appointments are virtual. But we discuss a variety of topics to really help you determine, what's the best path that works for you here at CSUF. And with me today, I have...
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Kathy Vivas. I am an academic advisor within the Academic Advisement Center. Now, within the center, not only am I an advisor, but I also coordinate a program called the Academic Success Institute. So ASI is what we call it for short. With the ASI program, it's kind of an early intervention program for any first-time freshmen who get placed on academic probation after their very first semester. Oftentimes, part of what can contribute to this is uncertainty, right? Not feeling sure about the direction that a student is going in. And so we want to make sure that we provide that support to students. While in the Academic Advisement Center, we do have Victoria as our major exploration coordinator, but all of the advisors in our center can certainly help discuss any sort of plans or goals or even exploration ideas that you may have.
Most definitely. And that's the nice thing, as Kathy mentioned, everybody comes from a diverse background within our center. So we can all share our different experiences. Myself and even Kathy, we didn't have plans to go into education. My first initial background was in English. That was my major. And I actually worked in a couple of different areas before I came into the education field. And, Kathy did the same thing too. You'll learn from all of our other advisors. Many of us have degrees in health science, in sociology, in communications, Chicano studies. So one thing that we always tell students is, just know that your major is not going to dictate where you go in life. It's really about transferable skills. It's about, your own personal goals, your own interests. So, you can do a lot of things with any major that you do declare or you want to pursue. So let's go ahead and get started. I have, we're here today. We have a very short presentation. Let me pull this up. Okay, here we go. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about, obviously, like declaring your major, but really what we like to say is, being at Cal State Fullerton, this is about your time, your moment, and your path. So it's all about you as a student and also what it is that maybe you want to pursue. The most important thing to know is, when we talk about major exploration, we talk about the person as a whole. So when we look at students, we really want to see like, okay, what's your background? I love to use visuals with students, and this is one visual that I really think is very helpful to kind of break things down for yourself. A lot of times I'll have students who are undeclared or you know, maybe are thinking about changing their major and they feel a little bit lost, they feel embarrassed, you know, why does everybody else have a path but I don't? Or also, you know, what if I don't know what I want to do? What is out there for me? Those are the big questions. So I have this visual here, and I think it's really important to know that, you know, take a big deep breath, because you have to remember, when you applied to Cal State Fullerton, you were 17 years old. Okay, so think about that in that perspective. You were 17, okay? And when you were in high school, you had so many different types of identities. So if you look at this visual, you'll see you had schoolwork, you had sports, extracurricular activities, family expectations, maybe you worked, additional responsibilities, right? So you had so many different things going on within the past 4 years that maybe you didn't really have time to understand who you are. So with this, there's so many things here that you were part of, but really who's behind all of the things that we have listed here? Who's the person that you see? And this is what we focus on with major exploration. We want to know who's behind these books. Who are you? What do you like to do? What do you like to explore? Many times some students will say like, well, you know, my teacher in high school told me I was good in math. So then I just decided, well, I'm going to go into engineering. But you start off with engineering and you hate it. Well, then we need to talk about finding a path or something else, an alternative way that maybe you use, you know, your talents, your strengths, your interests, and you really enjoy the coursework along the way, and maybe also adapt it to whatever career plans you have in mind. So that's really how we like to approach major exploration, is trying to find the person who's right here behind the books. We want to know about you, the most important person in the picture. And Kathy, what do you think about this?
Oh yeah, this looks like these students are ready to go. They've got a plan, they're prepared, they're happy, it's a bright sunny day. But it's not always going to feel this way. In fact, many students are struggling to figure out, you know, does this fit me? Is this right? Do I know what I'm interested in? Is this the major that I need in order to follow a certain pathway? What is the lifestyle that I want to lead? In reality, although right, let's take a look at this next slide, which can be a more accurate portrayal of how it can feel being a student. It's kind of daunting. And sometimes you might feel alone in this process of exploring not just majors, but just exploring who you are. What do I like? How much money should I be making to sustain a certain kind of lifestyle that I have in mind for myself? Victoria and I can both relate to the idea of exploring majors, right? We went through it ourselves in our center, right? We have so many different majors reflected in our academic advisors, our director, our assistant director, associate, and even our overarching director of the entire student success system at Cal State Fullerton. We've all been there, done that. We didn't do it alone because we ultimately learned that we needed to seek assistance, right? And that's what drove us into our professions today. We want to ensure that you aren't alone, although it may feel like it. So part of the major exploration program and the support that we can provide for students in our center with GE advising, helping you to interpret your TDA, helping you to connect with different resources on campus, is designed to help you see that you have a lot of different pathways that are possible for your future.
Absolutely, Kathy. And when we also look at this picture, we think, okay, remember, you're not alone. You have a whole entire academic department behind you in the Academic Advisement Center. Being an undeclared student, we're here to support you. Even if you are a declared major, same thing. We're here to support you regardless. But also, like, this is just the start of your journey. So even though you might look at this and say, this is really how I feel, no, like, eventually, I know with everything that's going on right now, especially with COVID, you feel, you know, like, I don't have an association to anything on campus. Some of you might not have even had the opportunity to visit campus. You don't even know what it looks like. So maybe this even looks a little bit more like, okay, this is how I'm feeling, because you feel so disconnected. But this is why we're here. We're here to help bring you back, and so that way you know, like, okay, there's a whole team supporting you, and we're really excited to see you when we can come back to in-person instruction. So let's break down being undeclared, okay? So, and I always put a question mark next to this because sometimes some students will say like, I'm undeclared. And when they tell me that, I'm like, are you asking a question or what's going on? But really what this is about is that being undeclared is actually a very good thing. I always tell students all the time, I'm like, really, like everybody's undeclared when they come to college because nobody really knows, you know, A, if they're really gonna like their major, B, what their career plans might be, or C, even if maybe the coursework is something that they're going to enjoy, and then what happens. So that's where we see students, you know, Jennifer just explained that she changed her major about 5 times. I myself changed it, I would say probably about 3, you know, and then, you know, but when you look at it, you're really trying to think about, okay, what's the big picture? What is it that you're trying to do? Is it that, you know, do you want to find something that's going to make you happy? What is it aligning with, you know? And when we come back to this, like within major exploration appointments, we talk about all these things because it's important to you. We don't want to see you unhappy, and we also want you to reach whatever goals you have in mind. A good majority of students who are undeclared do eventually like declare their major, typically by the 2nd year. So if you are a first year undeclared student and you're still, you know, a little bit, you know, concerned and you're thinking like, well, I don't know, it's okay. Or if you haven't met with myself or anybody in the AAC, make an appointment. We're happy to see you. You do need to remember that as an undeclared student, you have to declare your major by 60 units. No, you cannot major in undeclared. That is not a major in itself. But the reason why we have you declare by 60 units is because you need, on an average, like, you know, for most majors, 120 units to graduate. So that's already the halfway point. You know, for some students, if you are closer to this because you have dual enrollment credits, AP units, or anything like that, come talk to us because then we really want to, you know, we don't want to like push you into a major right away, but we do want to have these conversations now so that way we can help you not only for GE advising, but also point you in the right direction for major advising if you do decide to declare your major sometime soon. Okay, so we really want to make sure to put you right in contact with all the right resources.
I'm going to add too that I also made 3 changes throughout the life of my degree in my undergrad. I swore up and down going into college that I was going to be a communications major. I was going to become a news reporter. I took my very first communications class and I just didn't connect with it. So then I took a different GE class that happened to inspire me, my intro to social class. And then I ended up changing my degree to sociology. And then that was my first year. And then in my 3rd year, I decided to declare a double major in psychology. And then in my 4th year, I decided to add on an education minor. Even then at the end of my 4th year, I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my degree, but I knew that I had found these areas of interest that just kept me wanting to know more. Even though my parents thought, well, don't you want to be a doctor? Don't you want to be a lawyer? Shouldn't you be finding that kind of pathway? So there were pressures, right, to figure out exactly and pinpoint what I should be doing with my degree. But it was definitely an exploratory process. So being an undeclared student, even though I had majors and a minor, it didn't mean that I knew exactly what I was doing with it.
Absolutely, Kathy. I mean, it's the same experience for so many students who are always trying to find their path. Like Kathy, myself too. I mean, I thought initially I wanted to go into law school. So I thought about political science. I thought about so many other complementary majors, such as like criminal justice. Then I decided, okay, psychology. But then I didn't really like it as much. It really wasn't the coursework that I could connect with, just like how Kathy mentioned with her communications class. And then, but I always knew I loved to write. I always enjoyed doing analysis of literature. So then I picked English, but I also knew that I didn't want to teach. But, you know, through some internships, it actually helped me to prepare myself for going into a field to coach people and to do career development. So I worked with a couple different corporations before, you know, actually ending up in education. And so I love what I do now, but I mean, if you had asked me back when I was a freshman in college, like a first year student, and you know, if I came back and said, hey, this is what you're going to do now, you know, I probably would be very surprised. But again, your major is not going to tell you and it's exactly where you're going to go in life. A lot of students think, okay, if I pick this major, this is it. But you know, you have to think about other things like graduate school. This slide that I'm showing you right now is, you know, being undeclared or just having this time right now is all about developing your interests and connecting with yourself, and also trying to find your path and time to be you. Going back to that initial slide that I opened with, you know, sometimes when we're in high school and when we're picking and trying to make these choices at 17, did we really have time to be you, you know, and really to take the time to say like, well, what is it that you want to do? No, because you're focused on your high school path. You're focused on, you know, the school, you're focused on everything. Everything's very structured. And then when you come to college, there's a lot more flexibility. There's a lot more experiences to be had. And that is really what's going to shape you in the next couple of years. When we talk about major exploration, I always talk to students about 4 key points. And these are so important because sometimes students don't see how they actually connect with things. One, of course, is coursework. Do you enjoy it? Is it something that you see as, no, I don't enjoy it? Because that's going to play a big part with your major interest. If, you know, you don't like the sciences, and you really don't enjoy math, but everyone seemed to say like, well, this might be the best path for you. You know yourself best. So you don't have to go down that path when really your heart is dedicated to maybe something else. And maybe you want to go into like health science. Maybe you want to go into something like that has to do with nutrition, or maybe you want to go into something eventually that has to do with counseling, and you want to pick a major like human services to give you that background. Your career path, you know, if you have a particular career path in mind already, but you don't know how to get there, then, you know, this comes in part with like 2 things. One, of course, academic and major exploration, but also career advising too, where we can have that partnership with the Career Center to get you started. And then also something which I think is so critical for students to understand is your personal value system. And some students, when they look at this, they're like, are we talking about spirituality or what are we talking about here? And I said, no, what are your personal values? What do you as a student value? Because when we look at things, when we're talking about like what goals do you have for yourself, this comes into your personal value system. If you're the type of person who sees yourself in the future where you're like, I want to travel the world, and, you know, because it's important to me. So how do I make those goals or those dreams an actual reality, right? And what will help me with like that? Like what kind of an education, what kind of a background? Then let's talk about that. What kind of opportunities are there for you? Maybe you have some other types of goals. Maybe your personal value system is, I do want to go into law school because you want to go out there and make a difference in the world, you know, through the court systems. Okay, well, how do we get there? And how can we help you to kind of figure out like what are some good paths, you know, because even though we talk about majors, the other thing to remember too is minors. The beautiful thing about being in college is that with a lot of these degree programs, you can double major, you can major a minor. Some students can't pick between the 2. We talk about this a lot in major exploration. So then I said, well, you know, would you be interested in having one as a double major or one as a minor? And a lot of students will say, you know, yeah, I think I do want that, because then you don't have to choose. You get to have the, you know, the best of both worlds, which is great.
I wanted to share an example of personal value system. As Victoria and I, we were both first generation students, or just first generation in general. For myself, as a first generation college student and daughter of Vietnamese immigrants, part of how I developed my personal value system and how I understood it was reflecting upon my personal experience growing up. What did I want to experience personally in this world that maybe I hadn't been able to experience while going through the hardships, right, of being first generation and a daughter of immigrants and through that trauma, right? The inherited trauma and just facing the trauma from my parents, and general challenges that we faced in this country. And so my goals were to come out of that, right? How do I break the cycle? How do I help myself and help others and better understand? So that helped me to shape, well, what direction do I want to focus on? Humanities and social sciences? Is it about making more money, right? Do I believe that there's a certain pathway that can, where I can make more money to come out of this life? Or is it more so about understanding my core beliefs and the person that I want to be and the service that I want to provide to others? So those are some of the things that I considered when I was looking for some inspiration, right, during my academic program in my undergrad. And that's how it kind of led me to connect with sociology and psychology and education. So there isn't one exact way, right? Like, well, let me completely structure this personal value system, but it's just, it takes time to learn and really reflect upon who you really are. You won't graduate from college knowing exactly who you are, but you'll know more, that's for sure.
Absolutely, Kathy. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yes, it's true. A lot of students, they also, they panic because they think about, okay, I have to hurry up and declare and I have to rush through this. And, what we always tell students as advisors is that this is not a race. So you need to pace yourself according to your own situation, to your own life. And even when it comes down to, deciding like how many classes to take, how many units. But this is why it's so important to come to us for advising. Because our ultimate goal, and to throw out this visual to you right now, is that we want you to find yourself reflected back. So when we look at this, it's a two-part reflection, right? You want to look at your journey and say, this is my journey, and you see yourself in it. If you don't want to be an accountant, don't be an accountant, okay? Because if you can't see yourself as that, if you're like, this is just not where I want to go, then don't put yourself on that path. Let's get you to where you actually want to be, because that's the most important thing. Yes, I mean, as Kathy explained, for myself, being a first-gen college student also, being out there, a lot of times my family was asking, what are you going to do with an English degree? And, I surprised a lot of them with my path, because they were like, oh, because automatically people think, well, you're just going to become a teacher. And I don't like, the mindset of, oh, you're just going to become a teacher, because teachers are incredible. Like, they do so much work. They, it's not just teaching, take a little bit more pride in it. I mean, it's the teaching profession. It's very admirable. And I mean, like, you have to remember, they are your initial teachers to help put you on different paths in life. And so it's the same thing, when we consider, okay, what areas do you want to be? We want whatever that you're doing to be a reflection of who you see back. And so, what I always tell students is, you want to be happy with, what you've created. This is your path, and, be proud of it too. So let's talk about some resources to help support you in the meantime. We are 100% virtual right now, but major exploration appointments, so I offer them throughout the week. If you are an undeclared student, you actually make an appointment with me through TitanNet. So you want to make sure that you go in there, you find my availability. Sometimes you might look and you might say, I don't see anything available. So, check another day and time. My schedule is always built 3 weeks out. So if I'm not available on the day exactly, check the next week or the week after. And of course, like, always keep checking back, because sometimes I do get cancellations. For non-undeclared students, you actually have to email me directly. And so this is my email, vhamdy@fullerton.edu, for an appointment. So make sure you give me your CWID, and also be sure to include your availability when you're able to meet, so I can match you up with an open time slot, okay, in my calendar. To also get you started with just, maybe you're sitting here today and you're watching this and thinking, I don't even know what majors there are, what's being offered. Well, we have them all listed. So if you go to fullerton.edu/academics, on this second link, you'll be able to explore. Now, remember that you're looking for Bachelor of Art degrees, Bachelor of Science, or the Bachelor of Fine Arts. So those are the bachelor degrees that we do offer, and those are the ones that you will be looking for. The nice thing about this academics page is that it connects also to the catalog requirements, which list all the courses that are required for an actual degree. And then also it connects to the departments. So if you want to explore a little bit more about different departments and what they have to offer, or even to see what their students have been doing, you can check that out also, because it will connect you that way. You can also explore through your student portal. We have something called LinkedIn Learning. Some students like to explore, their free classes. You don't get college credit, but if you log into your portal and you type in LinkedIn Learning, you can take little, short core courses where you're just learning about maybe a particular area, subject. They have things in there like for even graphic design, if you're curious about that. I see all kinds of things too. I've had students who have been asking about advertising, and they have little short videos about advertising where you can learn a little bit more about the area. They have some content in there for you to review and see if maybe it's something that might appeal to you. If you want to talk to somebody about a specific career path, the Career Center is excellent, but you can definitely make virtual appointments with them as well. Their link is there. And then if you are ready to declare and you're thinking like, no, I've watched this, I know it's time, which I'm so excited for you because it's a big step, right? You want to go to records.fullerton.edu, and the change of major online form is there. You do not have to print it out and scan it and email. It's just a simple form. You log in using your credentials, and then it gets forwarded to the department. Now, there are some departments where you cannot declare your major to, such as nursing. The other one is you can't declare automatically into a Bachelor of Fine Arts program, okay? So those two, if you have more questions about it, you can email me. I'll explain a little bit more detail. And of course, if you are undeclared, remember, you have to declare by 60 units. That's the big golden number. And then this is our team. Kathy, you want to talk about us?
Yes, of course. So this is us working from home. This is a snapshot from a post we've made on our Instagram account. So actually, really, it's a great resource for you to follow us on Instagram, because we're always posting about the latest news and updates and information, details about resources and events that are happening. The link in our bio will lead you directly to some resources, not just on our website, in our advising options, but also it'll lead you to see resources across campus. At CSUF_AAC is our handle, our IG handle. So I would suggest definitely that you follow us as soon as you get a chance, so you can start following along with the details and updates that we post. But also, this is us. This really is us. This is us working from our offices with our headsets, with our headphones. We are here with you in many different ways. We're literally here virtually, serving you online as much as we possibly can, because we understand the high need of support, not just during the pandemic, but just overall. We're always going to do our best to connect with you. You can trust us to be transparent. We are very open with our students, and we'll always offer that tough love as necessary. We will connect you as much as possible.
And then just to close it out, going together about our team again, we are here for you for one-to-one appointments, but we also have virtual pop-in hours. So if you need to talk to somebody real quick with a quick GE questions, you can always go to our website, fullerton.edu/AAC. So that's about it, but we do look forward to meeting with you. We hope to see you soon.
Victoria, Kathy, thank you so much for sharing that. I know I deeply resonated with a lot in that presentation, thinking back to my college days. And, I did change major 5 times. And what's so funny is I ended up majoring in my minor that I had that whole time. So I knew, but I didn't want to admit it. So there's just so many resources out there for our Titans, which I'm really excited about because I really struggled. I know you two mentioned that you went back and forth with majors, so I'm so glad this exists. I'm so glad your team is here. Titans, we will be linking the Academic Advising Center's Instagram in this video, so make sure you take a look, give them a follow, check out all the links they have in their bio, and that's all. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.